Welcome back to the morning show on this Think Tank Tuesday. It is 10 minutes before we get to 8 o'clock, and it's so good to be with you before we wrap it up at 8:30. As we get into the final conclusion of the second hour of our time together, we're going to be talking about all things SovTech. SovTech is a custom software development company providing a complete software design and development service. So if you're like me and need more clarity on what this means and what it looks like, well then you are in luck, because we're joined by CEO of SovTech, Gerald Neves, who helps us understand their company and what they are doing to empower young people. Very much on theme with the month that we're in. Gerald, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Morning, good to be here.
It's good to have you here, and it's great because you're going to be breaking it down for us. So tell us about SovTech, what inspired starting SovTech as a company.
Thanks. So SovTech was really started with one mission, which was to make the business of software development faster, better, and more cost-effective than ever before, right? So I'm a self-taught software engineer, and there really is this innate passion to solve problems with technology. It continuously changes, it's always new, it's always fresh. So basically what we do is we help businesses scale by building that world-class software and technology using flexible subscriptions. And when you look at it, you understand that sort of every company in the world needs to become a software-defined company at its core. And so over the years we've grown exponentially. This is, we're into our 12th year. We've got 350 software professionals and offices in Joburg and Cape Town and Nairobi and London, and blue chip clients across the world. And we're kind of just getting started, I feel.
Yeah. 12 years later, still definitely getting your groove into things. Tell us about what made you start the company. If you go back 12 years ago or 13 years ago, where you're doing what you're doing in your silo and not going, I want to develop myself, that I'm equipped enough to do the work that you're doing now as an organization. But you say, hey, I want to build a team of people that we're able to do it as an organization and not just do it as an individual organism.
Absolutely. So really what it comes down to is that we used to see, I used to be part of these teams that in Silicon Valley that used to be able to build, take part in these hackathons, and they used to be able to build a full software product, MVP, which is minimal viable product, and launch it in 48 hours. And that was kind of compared to businesses in South Africa, and in Africa they were taking years and years and years to be able to get live. And so that, coupled with the youth and the kind of vitality of the population here, and the real difference in costs between Africa and the USA and Europe, makes that this is a really good place to build a large-scale global software development company over the next few years. I think even the African Development Bank says that the software development industry in Africa is going to be worth about 400 billion rand in the next 2 years. Sure. And that's because there's much wider access to digital education. Hundreds of millions of people on the continent speak English. Youth that are on TikTok and using tech products from around the world. And all you really need is access to a MacBook and internet connection, and you're able to do this. And so by seeing those tailwinds, we said, right, this is a kind of a once-in-a-generational opportunity to build something big on the continent.
As it's actually on its way for birthing something new. You mentioned the hackathon, which is something that I don't think many people have heard about. If I'm thinking for a parent right now, might be thinking, oh goodness, the only time I've heard of hackathon is the word hack, and that's not something
No, that's not good.
But we're also seeing a slow increase in young people in being involved in hackathons. Maybe you can break that down for us a little bit.
Sure. So a hackathon is really about putting a group of talented, ambitious people together. So we have an annual hackathon at SovTech. This year we held ours 2 weeks ago, the first weekend of June. And so we had about 16 teams, these cross-functional teams of designers, developers, finance, sales, marketing, and they arrive at 7 a.m. in the morning. They don't know who's in their team. They start at 7 a.m., they come up with an idea, and in 24 hours they build a full tech startup using AI that can positively impact something on the continent. And really the results are outstanding. Sure. We had teams build medical chatbot apps that can use AI to diagnose cholera and TB and waterborne diseases. We had a team build a machine learning model that allows farmers to scan a cow and predict foot and mouth disease. And again, that started at 2% accuracy. This AI model started at 2% accuracy at 8 a.m. in the morning, and at 2 p.m. at night, after they've been going the whole time, it was at 92% accuracy. We had teams building legal chatbots, recipe bots that allow you to predict what you can make before load shedding kicks in. And really all it took was that, these are smart young people working on a problem that interests them and focused on that problem for 24 hours. And so it might seem crazy to stay awake for that long, but when you're really engaged in something, when you're passionate about it, when you're interested in the problem that it solves, and you've got only this kind of time block of from 7 a.m. till 7 a.m. the next day, you realize what people are capable of.
And what's beautiful about this is that it's young, it's fresh, especially because it's young people, but it's also very, how can I say, it's locational. It deals with issues that we know best. Like you're saying, a bot that will tell you what recipes would work just before load shedding kicks in based on the time that you have and whatever else that you have in the house. Maybe just to sidestep a little bit, and I think SovTech might actually have an indication of how this is going, is the interest of young people in software development. I think we've seen over the last couple of years where there's been an interest in IT just for the sake of networking. But coding is something that is growing up and developing, so to say, within the younger generation. Are we seeing more and more young people being drawn to software development, or is there still a gap and a need for them?
So I think both of those answers are correct. There is a huge amount more of young people across the spectrum being drawn to coding, and not just out of your traditional IT tertiary education. There's coders that have come from design backgrounds, business backgrounds, that are entrepreneurs and they want to learn to build something. And so there is a huge amount of people learning this and specializing in coding across the continent, but also not enough. Not enough. So, the way I see it is that there's 1 billion people under the age of 35 on the continent, and there's a shortage of about 85 million highly skilled tech jobs in the world by 2030. Where is it going to come from? Africa is the logical place that it can come from. And so the access to coding schools, coding boot camps, computer science degrees at tertiary education institutions, all of those things needs to 10x in order to provide the talent that the world needs. And it's here. The people are here on the continent to be able to do that. The other thing is that it's really something that can't be, you can learn it if you want the job, but if you're not passionate about it, because it changes so much. Technology is changing all the time. Now there's AI that's changing everything. If you're not willing to keep learning, keep relearning, reading about this is what your Twitter feed's filled with, this is what you learn, you're spending your time on the weekends chatting about, then it becomes a much more difficult thing to do as a career. But the people who are passionate about it, the world's your oyster, because with remote work, with hybrid work, with global tech companies, you can work for SovTech, and we can train you up here, or you can work for companies anywhere in the world, which is really, really exciting.
Yeah, it actually is constantly evolving, constantly growing and evolving. All right, Gerald, we're going to continue this conversation in a moment. Stay with us, because after the break, after we come back from news, that is, we're going to continue the conversation talking about the work that they're doing to be the #1 software development company on earth, not just in South Africa. He's going to answer that question and so many others. Stay with us.